and she can spend as much time there as I want. So if I want to drop her off for 15 minutes and then pick her up, that's fine.
Beautiful.
And that's where we're at. We're doing that very slow transition. It's actually much faster than I had anticipated, which I like. The very first day I dropped her off and I said, or the first day that I dropped her off where she was going to be in the room alone, I dropped her off. She had her favorite staff member there, went into her arms, and I was like, I'll just wait outside. You tell me when she cries. I don't want her to cry because I want her to have a positive association with this place.
Yeah.
So immediately come get me. I'm literally sitting in her little cubby outside. And an hour later, I was like peeking in the windows and she's just playing and having the time of her life. And she's doing so well.
Yeah.
And I still haven't left the premises even when she's been here for 4 hours. I'm back.
Yay! Welcome back, Kelly, to Spoil Your Baby. Thank you so much for being so generous with sharing your experience with your baby. It's going to resonate with so many people. And I was thinking before this, I was like, sending the wishes to the universe for you to have many babies and just continue to come on the show and help us, help the world with their babies, like through your experience.
With the transition.
Yeah. So important.
That will be my goal, is to have babies just for podcast episodes. Content.
I love it. So today we're going to talk about what, I'm thinking of calling this episode, a successful story in transitioning to daycare, or a successful daycare story, right? So let's start at the beginning. Tell us where you're at in your parenting journey and what is coming up around daycare right now.
Yeah. So currently I am sitting in a room at Noah's daycare because she is in the process of transitioning to it and it's going really, really well.
Amazing.
To maybe I'll go, where do you want me to start? Like where I'm at right now?
Yeah.
With
What
transition?
about we go like a couple months ago where you were, you knew you were going back, your work, coming back to work was coming up.
Yeah.
The whole question. And you were, had a lot of stuff going on.
So I am going back to work in November, and that's like a must. I'm definitely going back. That was kind of one of the, you have a bunch of levers, all the things you can pull, all the decisions you can make. And then there's things that you just can't change. And they're just kind of like rocks in the road that you have to maneuver. So that for me was one of them, was that I had to go back to work.
Yeah. And I want to say something about that too for people as well, because I think everyone feels that anxiety, right? With that date looming wherever it is in, the timeline. And that's that kind of feeling we want to like help people with today, right? It's so scary. It is a non-negotiable, right? It's there, right? And we do have to be okay with it. Yeah.
100%. It's, a throwback to the previous episode that we did together, which was, I had this thought in my head before I had my baby that I was going to be the person at like 3 months who's like, I'm ready to go back to work because I'm such a career person. Like, the baby's going to be fine. We'll put her on, like, she'll go to daycare or whatever. Like, it was whatever, but I know I'm going to want to get back to work.
Yeah.
Cut to, I never want to work. I just want to be with her. I love her.
You were like trying to negotiate staying home longer, seeing if it was possible, looking into all possibilities.
Yeah.
And for some people, actually, when they do look into that, it is possible, right? Some people do make major or minor life changes, and they do end up doing that. But for you, the decision was it's going to happen.
Going back to work. Yeah. And I'm sure if we made a lot of decisions, there is a world in which not going back to work is possible. It just wasn't within like our realm of reality with our lives. And I think that's
everyone's
true for many, many people.
Yes.
And so I knew at 12 months I was going to go back to work. She's currently just over 10 months. Then the thought process was, do I start transitioning her to daycare at like a little bit earlier? Do I wait and spend every waking moment with her until 12 months and then have like a hard start to
Mm-hmm.
daycare. The other non-negotiable, once I got into a daycare, which I think we should talk about like what I looked for in a daycare, because I feel, and also with friends with babies in similar ages who are having very difficult times, I feel so lucky with the daycare that I got
to know
into.
that those exist, right?
Yeah, totally. And the questions and the things to look for. And I think even now being there, it's like, oh, I lucked out, but there's a million more things I would have asked, like for, the next round.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they're not flexible on, because it's such a sought after daycare, is your start date is your start date, even though you're paying. And luckily in Canada, or maybe it's Ontario, it's subsidized.
Yeah.
They know that spot can go to another family. So if you're not going to use your spot, you lose it, and you lose it for that year. So again, I was thinking, how should my transition happen? It kind of happened for me that I had to start her in September, even though I was going back in November.
Yeah.
Didn't know what that looked like. But then I obviously, a million phone calls later with you, it kind of was the best option for us in that we wanted to do a very slow transition. The daycare is very flexible, that I could spend as much time in the room with her as I want. And she can spend as much time there as I want. So if I want to drop her off for 15 minutes and then pick her up, that's fine.
Beautiful.
And that's where we're at. We're doing that very slow transition. It's actually much faster than I had anticipated, which I like. The very first day I dropped her off and I said, or the first day that I dropped her off where she was going to be in the room alone, I dropped her off. She had her favorite staff member there, went into her arms, and I was like, I'll just wait outside. You tell me when she cries. I don't want her to cry because I want her to have a positive association with this place.
Yeah.
So immediately come get me. I'm literally sitting in her little cubby outside. And an hour later, I was like peeking in the windows and she's just playing and having the time of her life, and she's doing so well.
Yeah.
And I still haven't left the premises even when she's been here for 4 hours. I just kind of hover around like a crazy person.
It's also nice.
Just like, I'm not.
No, not a crazy person.
Okay. A hovering mother
mom
who loves her baby.
You're in a community center, so it's not like you're uncomfortable, right? You're able to set yourself up. There's food. There's things like
I work. I do I do some other works. I do my work. I do podcasts with you. I go to the gym. So yes, I do like entertain myself while I'm here, but I'm just, we talked about this. Noah's ready to spend more time there because she's thriving.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to leave the campus just yet. And it will come. It has to, but
it's a transition for both
just
of
in
you.
case. Yeah.
Right. And some parents, they don't have that community center set up. They are at a coffee shop nearby or some other kind of
sitting in the car.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit. What were some of your fears about it? And how did you kind of address those by asking questions of the daycare?
Yes. So it was questions of the daycare, but also questions to my trusted community, aka you. So my fears were she would be sitting alone crying and there wouldn't be enough hands to hold her.
Yeah.
I'm very hands-on, and I know last time I called it the Greer's method. I'm very Greer's method, where I am very hyper focused on her needs, and I go to those needs immediately when she needs them. And that's not to, I'll leave it at that. So they do things differently there. And my worry was, what if how they do it is completely undoing all the work that I've done to make her super nurtured?
That's
and super
a really
loved.
common thing I hear a lot of moms say. They're worried about that.
Very worried. I was very worried about her food because she is still predominantly breastfed, but she's transitioning obviously to eating more and more. So I've been hyper focused on the nutrition that I'm giving her.
Yeah.
That's not, how are they going to feed her? I was worried about transitioning to a bottle. So she's never taken a bottle. I have never pumped. I don't have a storage of freezer bags.
Yeah.
So once I realized, okay, if she's going to nap there, she needs to take a bottle. And now, 10, 11 months into it, my milk is so regulated, I can't even pump. There's no excess to pump for her. So that was a huge concern.
Yeah.
And then nap, she had only napped on me and sleep. Even my husband, he's part of the nighttime routine, but I'm the only one that has ever put her to sleep. So,
and that's really
to
common.
summer,
That's really common
and I love
for
it. And I don't,
babies.
it works for us. Like, I love that I'm able to do that for her. I think, I go back and forth with like, well, it would be nice if someone, you know,
Yeah,
if
it will come.
Corey could come in, and it will come. But so I think, like, to summarize it, it was like, over the theme was doing things differently than how I'm doing it. And
Yeah.
is that going to disrupt her brain?
And
Like,
for
her brain
that
health.
it's so different. Everything is new, right?
Totally. And I think you hear a lot of the commentary from, you know, my circle is, but she gets to socialize. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that matters for her. She just needs to be like loved and held. Well, she gets stimulation, but they're babies. They're stimulated by literally anything. Like, I can put her at the window and she just stares for 20 minutes. Actually, Josh, my brother, was coming over the other day, and I just propped her in front of the window, and she just stared at the trees and the birds and the squirrels for 15 minutes until he drove up. And that killed 15. Like, so there were all the comments of, this is why daycare is going to be fine.
Yeah, and
to me were just BS.
Were true.
Yeah. So then I was just like, like, am I making a huge mistake? Like, do I need to just move to like a farm where I can keep her home all day? And I was like, we did talk about what can we change so that I can keep her home? And it was almost a very serious conversation, but then you kind of get smacked with reality and you're like, okay, no, why don't we try it? Why don't we try it?
Yeah.
And that's where we got to. But those were like my fears, and those were some of the things I was considering when I was looking for daycares.
Yeah. And that's, I think, feeling it out, you know, because not everyone's going to end up with that decision either. Right.
Yeah.
And many people will, like, you know, many, the majority, I would say, probably in my practice. But some people, you know, end up with the farm, or they end up with drastic changes to their life, and they have their baby home for longer. But this
I wanted to say one,
your gut, following your gut, right?
It's following my, and we'll get into like even more changes that I've made along the way, but every step of the way has been listening to my gut, which I was going to say, like, I think one of the really difficult things, again, like, this might be a local thing, but it is, I imagine it's broader. It's incredibly hard to get into daycare. Like, the wait lists are insane. So I was making daycare decisions when she was 3 weeks old, and getting on wait lists at 3 weeks old, and then making decisions of putting a deposit down, I think, when she was like 2 months. So to make a decision when you know that the person that they are and your connection with them and your expectation, especially on the first one, maybe it will be different on the second. It's just, I have no idea. I'm still learning this person.
You're still a baby mom,
learning
like your 2-month-old mother.
How do I know what the right decisions are? And hopefully this conversation helps people who are there to think through some of those check boxes. But I know I didn't get those check boxes from my circle, because, and to each their own, but their checklist ended up being very different than my checklist. And that's hard.
Probably more really cognitive things than emotional relationship. What were your big things that you wanted to know from the daycare? What were those big, like, what kind of helped you feel more comfortable with this place?
Knowing that the transition could be completely flexible.
That was a really big incredible one. I saw that a lot in Los Angeles. Some of the places I was looking at were beautiful that way. That's sort of where I learned how it could be done. And then that ranges to no, like nothing, none of it. Right. And for me, my biggest recommendation with parents helping them ease into this is always let's do everything we possibly can to form a relationship, a trusted, loving relationship between your baby and at least one person at the daycare. Right. So I will usually say my biggest recommendation is try to find a daycare setup or a childcare setup that's the lowest ratio you can afford. And so if you can afford a nanny, that's really great, 1-on-1, or a nanny share, a 2-on-1. And then a daycare. Daycares in Canada have very low ratios too. I think for the baby, it's 1-3 or 1-2, something like that.
It is. And then like there's always one baby missing from the class. Like someone's staying home
Yeah,
every day.
someone
So it
has a
ends up being
cold,
even
someone has,
smaller.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then that increases over time. So like be comfortable with the ratio, and then make sure there is that like there is like this, or you have to create, I was going to say, if there isn't the space for the relationship to grow between the baby and at least one person who's there, you can do everything you can to make that space to grow that relationship. And so
What does that look like?
so
What
it
does
can
that
look like
mean?
different things. Sometimes if a daycare will not allow a parent to spend time there and like have a bridge the relationship a little bit. And so that basically
Yeah.
looks like the mom or dad with the caregiver and the baby around, showing the baby like, oh, this person, like, I like this person. They're nice. I trust them, because babies are
Right.
socially referencing. They're always they're looking at you with another person and judging your nervous system state. And they're like, oh, mom's calm around this person. Mom's laughing with this person. Mom's interested in this person. And maybe she's smiling with them or touching them. And okay, I can trust this person because mom trusts this
Okay.
person. So that's like
Yeah.
social referencing. So that's why I like parents to be able to spend some time together before the child's left alone, because when they are left alone, they have to have a relationship with that person to say, oh, when I have my stress, that's my person who helps me. When I'm tired,
Yeah.
that's the person who helps me. When I'm hungry, when I'm delighting and excited and curious, that they're going to share that delight
Yeah.
with me, right? Like that is what babies are looking for. So I do like a daycare or a nanny setup where the three can spend time, any amount of time, like together to sort of transfer. Gordon Neufeld talks about
Yeah.
like transferring the attachment. So when you drop off, it's like the attachment between you and your baby becomes the attachment like between that carer and the baby, right? You're like,
I saw that today when I dropped her off. So there's one lady that she's just is so comfortable with. And I took your recommendation at the beginning. The first few times that I went with Noah, I would give her a hug and smile, and we love them, and
great.
like her, so I took your advice on that. And today I was holding Noah and I was anticipating, her holding onto my shirt or didn't want to move, but she willingly went, and I
Yeah.
gave her, while the staff was holding her, I gave her a kiss on the cheek, and they walked away, and she just smiled at me and went.
Yeah.
And I like hearing you say like that transfer, I felt like physically when I handed her to
Yeah.
her, that was her cozy
Yeah, she
spot.
was
And
like
she
in
knows in
another
this
person's
room.
bubble of love, right? Another
Yeah.
oxytocin bubble with another
Yeah.
person. And that's when it is successful. Not that babies won't get upset with the separation. Sometimes they will,
Yeah.
but that
Yeah.
person, because they have a relationship, is able to be their buffer for that stress and help them
Yeah.
come back and then get ready to play quite quickly and,
Yeah.
and be
Yeah.
feeling just okay again quite quickly. So
Mm-hmm.
if they don't allow it, then sometimes daycare workers will babysit. Just anyway, they'll babysit. Like you can ask them if any of them do babysitting. So like you could go out for dinner with your
Interesting.
husband and they will babysit. Like that's very common in my experience. So sometimes you can say, can you babysit in air quotes for us a
Mm-hmm.
couple times before my child starts? And then you like the three of you go to the park together and spend time, or you invite them into your home and you spend time together. And then that's another way of like transferring the attachment. Again, like
Yeah.
letting that social referencing happen with you and your baby and the person,
Yeah.
right?
One of the big things that I've noticed, again, like very small sample size, but Noah's transition has been very, very smooth. And I think there's perhaps two things that have helped with that for her to feel comfortable or even understand how to build that relationship with someone else when like I'm the only one that has fed her, I'm the only one that has put her to sleep, I'm the only one that, all those
Mm-hmm.
things, is that one, she is little. Like I think her being a bit younger has helped. And
Mm-hmm.
even the daycare staff was saying the smaller they are, the less they see them freak out. So there's kind of two sides of that, because it's also, I think, healthier to keep them home longer.
Yeah.
But also from day one, we were very, like from the day we brought Noah home, we were very cognizant to allow all of our safe people to hold and love her and enjoy her and show her that it's not just the two of us that can embrace her. And I know there's I see a lot online of ways to protect your baby from anyone else holding her. And there's times for that when you're,
Yes.
there's times where I'll just put her in the carrier because I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable with this
Yeah.
crowd holding her. But I did make a really conscious effort that our there's like 37 immediate family because we have such a large family, but everyone can just like love and enjoy her. And I think that her feeling comfortable in other people's arms made this transition a lot easier.
Yeah. There's a
because she
difference
understands
between
that other
passing a
people can
baby
see.
around at a party where I know you
Yes.
haven't wanted to do that, and a difference between like at a family dinner, her spending a special moment with or moments with
Exactly.
everybody, right? Yeah.
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 Absolutely.
With your trust, like you have to trust those people too. There's people that I don't, everyone has people that they don't trust.
Yeah. So
to
knowing
hold
that
their
knowing that
a piece of a life.
other people love them, other people can take care of
Yeah.
them to an extent, and all of that is really, really important too. And the developmental phase is important as well, right? Sometimes there are peaks in separation anxiety, and there are different developmental times that make it harder to transition. So that's there. Sometimes between 8 and 10 months is really hard. So you're at the 10 month end of that. And temperament is huge too.
Yeah.
Temperament, very, very,
She's very chill.
Yeah. She is very chill.
She's very, very chill.
I mean, your nurture adds to that, but she's born that way as well, which is really great. So, okay. So you did a few days with her with you there. The other thing to say about that relationship with the special caregiver or caregivers is that a big question you want to ask the daycare is the consistency of care. Something that they often don't get and absolutely do need to know for baby 0 to 3 is that relationship is the anchor for the baby. It's everything for them. So if they have a rotating staff, if their schedule is like each person's there 1 day a week, or they're there 1 week and not the next week, or if they're there, whatever, not tending to mostly be there, then that can be an issue too.
That's confusing.
Right.
That was another thing when I was looking, because originally I was like, you're looking at all the different options. This one happens to be full time, but you can make the schedule whatever you want.
Yeah.
But some of them were half days every day, or Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And I felt that a baby doesn't know like yesterday from the day before. So to me, a Monday, Wednesday, Friday isn't a consistent schedule. It's for us as adults, we understand it. But for the baby, every morning they're waking up and they're like, where am I going? And I think that consistency was important to me to know that if I wanted to make it every day for an hour, even if it was just an hour, like I could have that every single morning. We wake up, we have breakfast, and we head to daycare. Yeah. Because it's not something new. I think that to me was another big question. And then the other big question for me, and they have done a fantastic job, is nap time.
Yeah, let's talk about the sleep part, because sleep, I think, is the biggest fear. Like I
had a lot of tears about
2 years old at daycare, and I was flipping out. Again, breastfed to sleep, every nap, every night waking, with a couple exceptions of my husband taking over for if I went out for dinner or something. And so I was like, he's not going to sleep here. Like he's never slept on a cot. He's never not breastfed to sleep. And they were so good with me. Cause again, like you can't coach yourself. They were like, we will keep you texting you all day. You will hear every update and he will sleep. I was like, okay, like I'll be 10 minutes away. Like, of course I'm picking him up for the nap. He slept on the first day and every single other day after that. Like,
I didn't know that on the first day.
Yeah, wow. No problem. I was like, oh God, I don't know. He was 2 though. It was a little bit different. Like you can talk to a 2-year-old more. But anyway, so sleep is huge. I, again, totally relate. And so many of the moms I work with, same thing, right? That's the biggest fear. It's the biggest thing. And also I want to tell the world, as I tell them, you can change. You do not have to change a single thing at home. Like you can still breastfeed them to sleep for every single nap and night and waking at home. You can co-sleep every single night as you do. You do not have to change your relationship. In fact, I urge you not to change your relationship at home, because
it was something I asked you.
Is so important. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, because I was like, well, should I start to teach her that how to fall asleep not on my boob. And I messaged you, I don't know, this was probably a month ago. I was like, she fell asleep. Like I just rubbed her back for the first time and she fell asleep not on my boob. And you were like, it was probably a one-off, and it was, didn't happen again. But when we talked about it, you're like, you also like you don't need to train her. They'll do that for you. Like they'll encourage in that environment. That's where she'll sleep, and she'll fall asleep a different way. But at home, like do it 10x, like embrace that nurture 10x at home. And I think that piece of advice really stuck with me. It's not, okay, well now teach her that even when you're around, you're kind of not around. Just like make those moments that you have together so much more
100%
hyper focused. And I try to be like super cognizant now when I'm at home, like, okay, no phone, really, just be there, because I do have a few hours each day away from her, and I'll take advantage of getting my work done or doing texting or realistically scrolling on Instagram for 2 hours during that time. But it has not been that smooth for Noah for nap time. Like,
I did want to say that too, and I want you to continue and go in with that confidence that the daycare workers are, if they are nurturing, which the majority really are, that they're going to have their way, and your baby, they're going to find the way with your baby, but also be open to that your baby could be a very sensitive baby. You probably know that your baby's sensitive, right? And it might be, not as straightforward, but let's hear your story.
Okay. So
quite successful.
So this I think is like kind of a cute story. On the first day, they're getting to know me. They're asking questions. Okay, they're like, what's her routine when you give her the bottle? I was like, I've never given her the bottle. You guys are going to need to teach her that. They're like, okay. What's your routine when you put her down for a nap? I boob her to nap. Like, they're like, what if someone else is putting her to sleep? She's never been put to sleep by anyone else. They're like, okay. I was like, that's you guys are going to teach her that.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your routine when you like say bye to her and someone's babysitting her? Never happened. No one's ever babysat. Like, they're like, oh, there's going to be a lot of transition. So they went in knowing that it was going to be a learning curve. So the one staff who Noah has truly bonded with and has a really nice relationship with, what they've told me is they'll give her the bottle. She took it, no problem. She didn't need to be taught how to take a bottle.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll also mention, because I did say that it was such a process for the pumping so that she could have a bottle, because I wanted to continue to breastfeed. So every time I fed her afterwards, I would pump, and I would get like half an ounce, and I would just keep adding it to a bag until I got to 5 ounces and freeze it. But it would take like 2 days to get one bag
like too. Yeah.
So it took a long time, but now I have like 3 bags like stashed, and then every day when she's in daycare, I'll pump and then use that for the next day. So just to like call back to that point. So it was a bit of a process. But anyway, so they give her the bottle, they rock her in her arms. They said that she's very observant. So while all the other babies are lying in the cribs and starting to go to sleep, sometimes other babies would like snuggle into the staff holding them, but she just like observes. She just wants to see what's going on and learn, I guess.
Cool.
And then once they're all asleep, then she'll rest her head, and they just have to like rock in their arms. The very first day, she slept for 17 minutes, because the second they tried to lower her, she woke up.
Yeah.
So they rocked her in their arms for 17 minutes. She slept, and that was it. The second day, they tried to lower her into the crib again unsuccessfully, but they were able to lower her onto a pillow on the floor.
Yeah.
Don't know why that was more comfortable. Yeah. But they made a floor bed in the daycare, which I was like, great, that's what we have at home. So maybe that's what she's more comfortable with. Who knows? And then the third day, they rocked her, and they have this like baby rocker thing that like kind of shifts them, like moves them when the staff can't rock them anymore. So they put her in that, and then they put that in the crib.
Okay.
So now they want her to see that she's waking up in a crib, so she gets more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So that was the third or fourth day, something like that. And then yesterday they rocked her, she fell asleep, and they lowered her in the crib.
Amazing.
And she slept for an hour and 20 minutes. So it took a week, but they promised me she didn't cry, and who knows? I mean, I have to just trust them, but it seems like she's getting really comfortable with like a new place. So it wasn't as smooth as like, but she did watch them and see what's going on, but it took a little bit more hand holding, but still just a week and
4 days, 5 days is nothing.
Yeah.
For a transition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally. And I think when she wakes
I'm
up,
sure
they
it
say she's
felt like it
unhappy
was a
waking.
lot for as you were going
Yeah,
through it, but
totally. It felt
sometimes
like
things take 2,
eternity.
3 weeks, right? Or a
Yeah.
month, right? Yeah.
And it might go back and forth in a process, but some I'm a big Reddit. I love going on Reddit. And I was reading a thing. I actually asked a question about this whole process. I
Mhm.
just wanted to see what other moms were saying. And I was asking about my husband helping to put the baby down because that's such a process. And someone
Mhm.
was saying as long as like there sometimes will be tears when it's someone new, or a new environment or new anything. But there was also tears when I was putting her to bed in the first couple of weeks. Like it is a bit of a learning curve. So obviously you want to minimize as crying as much as
Yeah.
possible. But I just keep thinking I still haven't let my husband put her to bed because the second I hear her cry, I'm like, I'll just do it.
Mhm.
But even if there's tears there, I know like there's someone holding her and loving her and taking care of her.
Yeah.
And it's okay as long as like she's being reassured
Yeah.
because she does wake up crying. Like I think when she wakes up in the crib, she's sad, but then they pick her up and they hold her and they give
Yeah.
her, you know, whatever she needs. So yeah, so it sucks. And like, but I've been like picking her up right after her nap. So the second she's up, like I get her
Mhm.
and I have the luxury of doing that until she like is more confident waking up there and
Yeah.
less tears.
It's
And
a
it's not like
really
bawling. It's
great
just,
support that they've been giving her to
that's
do
one
that,
other thing
right?
that maybe I will mention that I didn't even know to look at. And I didn't even know that not having this was an option.
Mhm.
But they have an app with me called Lilio, I think, where they can update me throughout the day. I try to be not, messaging 24/7 because they have to work. And I also don't
Yes. You
hope
don't
that they're
want
not
them
on
on
the
their
phone
phones that much? Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah.
But it is nice that they can send me messages and updates and pictures throughout the day and just kind of like reassure me. And I do zoom in. I'm like, how red are her eyes? Is she crying? Right. But she's not. She's smiling and doing her little activities.
Yeah.
So there are daycares that don't have any form of communication throughout the day.
Mhm.
And I'm sure there's some moms that are like, I just need to trust them and be hands off. And
Yep.
when they're there, they're there. And that's fine. And there's also the other level where there's daycares with cameras that you can watch them 24/7.
Yeah.
To me, that
That's a
was
lot.
uncomfortable. I want to have a form of trust, but I also want to, a form of communication. Oh, hey, I forgot to tell you, she woke up at 10, so she's probably going to be tired early. Whatever. Like I can
Yeah.
just give them little updates. So to me, I didn't even know to ask about that beforehand,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I'm just putting it out there for other moms that maybe that's something you want to inquire about, or just like kind of think for yourself. Is
Yeah,
that
what
like
how
what
much do you
level of
want?
communication you want? Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. I
Yeah.
like that you bring up the transitioning to being in a new relationship with sleep as well, right? Like,
Yeah.
which comes after that trust that they have in the caregiver, right?
Yeah.
And I find as well, thinking like having a mindset shift, that this caregiver, hopefully in they're in a child's in a place where they have like one or two, these people who are, they're in deep relationship with, that they're like
Yeah.
an extended person in the family, right? They are part of your village. Like I pretty sure I in my thank you for my book thanked the people at my son's daycares as extended villagers, like people in my village, because I would not have written my book. I would not have done a lot of things without that support of that community. And they're not blood related because we live in a weird, very distant
Yeah.
place from like where humans started. But it is sort of like that, right? They are like an
Yeah.
auntie, a grandma, great aunt, an uncle, grandfather who is embracing and loving your baby and taking care of them. And I find people who are in that profession, they're in it for that reason. Like they have so much love
Yeah.
to give and they love babies and they don't want babies crying and they don't want
Yeah.
things going in a stressful way at all. So it's really helpful to think of it that way as well and
Yeah.
to give that love, like to genuinely, authentically give that love to those people. And they do become part of your family over
Yeah.
time in a lot of
And
important ways.
I feel like it, like when you're saying like genuinely give that love to them, like they're with your baby all day. Like you want to have that really strong relationship with them
Yeah.
and that they love you and you love them because they're, spending so much time with your little human.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to feel like they can text me at any time. Yesterday, one of them messaged me after work being like, telling me something cute that she did during the day. Like, she's thinking about Noah
Yeah.
after the fact. To me, that builds so much more trust that was like a thought even like 2 hours after I picked her up.
Mm-hmm.
And they could have just told me tomorrow, but they like messaged me through the app.
Really
So
good
it's
sign.
little things like that that made me feel very confident about it. And then made a decision, on how I'm going to like continue this transition as I go back to work
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
what that's going to look
Tell us
like.
what you think the future will look like. We'll have
Yeah.
some more time.
So I was going back and forth on should I do 3 days, like full-time daycare, which if you asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have instantly cried and said never. Should I do a couple days a week and keep her home a couple days a week and somehow figure out how to work with her home, which
Mm-hmm.
not is only unfair to my job, but it's unfair to
It's
her because
impossible.
she'll be ignored,
Yeah.
and it's especially the more and more she gets to be able to move around, it's just not feasible.
Yeah.
Or possibly bringing in a nanny, which is a whole, I never had nannies growing up, so I didn't really know what that could look like, but I knew that I wanted more one-on-one care for Noah,
Mm-hmm.
but financially it's a strain. So the like balance that my husband and I talked about was like 3 days a week in daycare, 2 days a week at home. We still have to pay full-time daycare. We
Yeah.
obviously have to pay the nanny, but it was a balance that we felt we were comfortable with for Noah.
Yeah.
Started interviewing nannies, getting comfortable with the idea, figuring out what that could look like. And at the same time started this transition into daycare. And this morning, I think I called you being like, I'm spinning because this transition is going so much more smoothly than I thought. And back to our previous episode, like I had such strong opinions, but gladly I held them loosely because
Mm-hmm.
now I feel better about doing full time, like everyday daycare,
Mm-hmm.
no nanny, and picking her up a little bit earlier. So she's not going to do a full day.
Yeah.
I'll get her earlier, but I just feel like I'm listening to my gut and I'm listening to her and how she's experiencing. And I just feel that is like the right thing for us.
Mm-hmm. And seeing that
Luckily I was in
relationship he has there already, right?
totally, I'm lucky that like I'm in a position that I can like make like I could have had either way,
Yeah.
and I'm making that call, but I think I can do this alternative of like all day daycare. And if it doesn't work out, okay, we'll reassess
Yeah.
just like I reassessed right now. And I think it's a continual like iteration.
Yeah.
But this thing that I cried every single day about for probably a month and a half
Mm-hmm.
is now like the complete opposite of all of my expectations,
Yeah.
because I think I found the right daycare, which I think is a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And Noah's like temperament and her age and all the things.
Yes. It's such a big change, right? I talk about these like shocking and surprising moments where you get this newfound freedom in your motherhood journey. Like one is when you can like roll away from them from a nap or the first part of the night, or having grandparents watch them for a little bit, or someone. And this one is just so shocking and surprising, right? Like now you have a few hours a day to yourself. It's a whole
when I
new
tell you
place.
that other parents at the daycare came and were like, Kelly, eventually you're gonna have to leave. Like you can't just sit in her cubby all day waiting. Like you just go grab a coffee and walk away. But like even within that milestone of having like dropping her off, it was then the milestone of like walking a meter away from the class. Okay, now 2 meters away from the class. And that comes with building trust with the staff there. But yeah, there's like all these little and big milestones.
I love it.
Throughout the process.
I love it. It's so reassuring for parents to hear this story, because this is honestly, it is the most common story I hear. I definitely, will say I also hear stories where babies are not adjusting well. They're not forming that relationship, whether it's just babies not ready, temperament, or it's that the staff aren't aware enough to know that they each have to form, like someone's going to have to be the special person for a baby, right? For every single baby there. And then other plans have to be made. We have to be flexible. We have to shift. But this is the majority. of experiences that I do hear. So thank you for sharing, and we'll look
Of
forward to a
course.
new update. Anything else you want to add before we say goodbye?
I don't think so. I think like my takeaway or my shares is trust your gut and try as much as possible. Like there are those, those boulders in the road that you can't move, but try to like go with the flow and know that you can change your decisions and adjust
Yeah.
as you go. And yeah, just trust your gut. I think you said that to me in the beginning, and the more I trust my gut, the more I trust my gut.
Yeah.
And that's been such a game changer. It makes it easier to tune out the noise around you of telling you what to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I love
that's
it.
my
Thank you
last
so much,
message.
Kelly.
Thanks
We'll
for having
bring
me.
you
Next
back
milestone, I'll
for
be
the
back.
next the next
The next
big
big one.
bang. All right. Talk to you soon.